Are you afraid of bridges? Are you afraid of what might crawl out from underneath them and snatch you and perhaps devour your flesh or maybe just your toes? Perhaps you're curious if little stone trolls have the ability to unfreeze the heart of a princess. Or perhaps you're simply wondering, to yourself or maybe out loud, are the mighty foes of Kratos and Atreus really just mindless, bloodthirsty fiends? What you find here today, heroes and adventurers, will not only be the answers to all of your questions and inquiries, but the realization that trolls are not necessarily evil, and that they could quite possibly be more famous and well recognized than the gods of the same mythological cycles. Come, friends, and join me for another tale of ancient times. Trolls, we hear of them eating goats and terrorizing villages. We hear of them kidnapping children and ransacking villages with their colorful hair and lifeless, dead black eyes. And in the realm of Kratos and Atreus, they're some of the most frightening and formidable foes that we are privileged to face. Where is the truth? I hear you screaming, Lord Yeezus, bring us the truth! Fear not, my friends, for that is exactly what I have brought to you this day. Let us begin here in our world and determine where it is trolls stand in the world that you and I exist. In many of the oldest writings, trolls are interchangeable with just about every frightening creature there is, from werewolves to demons and giants. But when we head to the homeland of the Northmen, we find something else entirely. A reverence of sorts. While post-Christian lore and mythology had them being terrified of church bells and paved roads, we find something a little bit different the farther back that we go. The Old Norse mythology had them being proud and clever creatures, almost revered in the stories, only being frightened away by the clap of thunder because it brought about images of the god of thunder, Thor, Odin's son, and possibly brought about a reminiscence of his efforts to wipe trolls off the face of Midgard with all the other giants. Now, trolls are known to trap travelers using riddles or magic, or sometimes just deception, and steal from them valuables, and sometimes even eating them. The only things that stop them are travelers who end up being more clever, a clever trick that just happens to get one over on them, or perhaps the tender meat of a child. Yes, I know, but there are many tales of children being left behind so that the adults can escape because the trolls wouldn't have to pick their soft bones out of their teeth. These legends, however, are of the fickle and hungry forest trolls, kidnapping travelers and hoarding wealth. And it was these legends that inspired J.R.R. Tolkien to craft the first trial and tribulation of the journey of Bilbo Baggins, and gifted him his mighty weapon and treasure, Sting. These are not the only tribes of trolls we hear about, though. What of those trolls who live deep within the mountains and caves? What of those, I hear you say? These are the sort we see in the tales of Elsa and Anna, in the chronicles of Arendel's Frozen saga. But those in our realm were not so friendly, using their connections with nature instead to crush and fight men, much rather than help to heal a princess's heart. Some going so far as to even scare men to death. But is this really all there is to trolls? Or were they one more victim of the belittling of creatures through the Christian conversion of mythology? The short answer is yes. The oldest myths of trolls point to them being closely related to Ymir and the dwarves of legends. Even the chronicles of Odin worked to cheapen the existence of trolls, where the Jotun were depicted as craftsmen and artisans and thinkers and ancients. The trolls and dwarves focused their culture on warfare and weaponry. And this, my friends, is where we see the connection to the world of Kratos and Atreus. The trolls of this realm are depicted as great brutes and bloodthirsty animals. But their culture is significantly more complex than that. Let's take a look at the names of every troll we encounter throughout the series. Brenna Daudi, the Burning Death. Bearing a flame totem, he was the last of the fire tribe, giving himself the name the Burning Death, taking pride in his ability as a warrior. And we see that when he engages in battle, it was because he sensed the power of his enemy and thought, this is my chance at a beautiful death. Alright, let's move on. Daudi Hammer, Death Hammer, another fire troll locked away and left to rot in prison, grateful for his honorable death. Had it not been for Kratos and Atreus freeing him from the cell he had been left to rot in, he would have died there, never having the chance to die at the hand of a worthy opponent. But that is the beautiful death that was gifted to him by Kratos and Atreus when they freed him. Let's move on. Daudi Kamauder, the Death Merchant. The first fire troll encountered by our heroes. And we don't know as much about him as we do about the others, but the fact that he refers to himself as the Death Merchant means he took pride in traveling. He took pride in his ability to bring death to his enemies and to his worthy opponents. And we see that as soon as he encounters Kratos and Atreus, he engages them in battle. He has the opportunity to attack them by sneaking up on them, but instead announces his presence and engages them in combat. Daudi Munir, Death's Maw, also referred to as the Flame of Muspelheim. Now, I personally have not reached this troll in the tales of Kratos and Atreus, but he is one of the larger and more intimidating trolls in the whole, and it is interesting that he calls himself Death's Maw, because there is an old colloquialism of following one into Death's Maw, following one into certain doom, as though anyone who would engage him in battle was going to their certain doom, or walking into the mouth, into the maw of death. Now, when lowering the water levels in the outer worlds of Midgard, where we encounter the world serpent Holmangandr, we end up meeting a stone troll who is simply referred to as Death Eater. And it is implied that he's been there for a very long time, and even that he may have been there before some of the other trolls, or maybe even some of the gods. Because there is no stories or histories that were told to Atreus by his mother. Nothing, and of all of the mighty trolls, but we know that he is Death Eater. And that in and of itself is a grand title. And it is implied that titles given in the world of Kratos and Atreus are not ones earned easily, and that they are in fact hard-won titles. Let's move on. Grendel of the Frost and Grendel of the Ashes. The two trolls guarding Tyr's vault. Not just guarding, but charged with guarding. And some of you who are more well-versed in mythology will recognize Grendel as being the troll from the mythologies, or rather the I don't want to say Arthurian, but the poem of Beowulf. I believe it's a Saxon poem. Now, in the tale of Beowulf, Grendel is actually not so much depicted as being a troll as much as an ogre if you look at the mythologies, but Grendel is still seen as a mighty, not warrior, but formidable creature, formidable monster, something that is not terrorize, but something that brings terror. And Grendel of the Frost, he's an ice troll, and Grendel of the Ashes is a fire troll. Frost is one of the final stages of ice, and ashes are the final stages of fire. So they are these terror-inducing creatures, and they are the final stage. They are the final form of that terror, and that is a truly proud title. Let's move on. Jarnfotor. I really need somebody to pronounce these things for me. Jarnfotor. Ironfoot. Now, it is believed that Ironfoot lived in peace with the trolls, with the Jotun of the mountain, and something changed. Something altered. He used to live in peace with the Jotun, and then suddenly was cast out. And after they were all sent away from Midgard, he returned to his mountain cavernous home and moved back in. Now, this is something that I see as an overarch of the tales in both our mythologies and those in the realm of Kratos and Atreus, that the doctrines of the gallows god, the doctrines of Odin, seemed to have infected or transferred to other groups, such as the dwarves and the trolls. And he may have been cast out because of Odin's hate for the Jotun and because of his desire to die in battle. Let's move on. Matgar Helston, the son of Hel, the bridge keeper. Now, this is the only of the trolls that we meet in Helheim, and he is the only one of the trolls who is not instantly aggressive towards us as we approach. He is the guardian of the gate of Hel, and he is smart enough to recognize the difference between a soul that should be living and a soul that should be dead. Now, that doesn't sound like a barbaric creature to me. That sounds like a warrior. That sounds like somebody who has great abilities of distinction. That doesn't even sound like a beast. That sounds to me more like a man, or even so far as to say a god. Stonebeard King. Now, Stonebeard King is the last of the trolls that we encounter, and he is a frost troll. Now, you get the word king thrown around a lot when people make nicknames or when they are talking about themselves. They say, oh, this person is a king, that person is a king. And the title of king was one that in European tradition and in Christian tradition was one that was inherited. But amongst the old Norse, the old Celts, the old Gaels, the old Gauls, the old Scandinavians, this was not a title that was passed down, but won. The strongest warrior was the one who carried the crown. He who could not have it taken from him was the one who bore the crown. Now, Stonebeard doesn't have a whole lot of historical significance, except for that it was one of many, not hero, champion connotations. Stonebeard, Ironfinger. These were titles given to grand warriors. The last name, the clan name, was not something that was adapted till later on, and it had to do with profession or proclivity. It had to do with one's ability. And for those who were great warriors or leaders or even captains or sailors, they were given names based on their ability. So Stonebeard King shows that he is strong and proud and undefeated. So the trolls not only had a large functioning society at one point, but they lived alongside many of the other races throughout the 9 realms, in peace. And it was not until the doctrines of Odin found their way amongst the trolls that changed. Even then, they don't challenge Kratos out of bloodlust. They challenge to test their own strength and to earn a beautiful death, not realizing that they will not be granted entry into Odin's Valhalla, for they are ranked amongst the Jotun, and forgotten in the eyes of the Aesir. This is an interesting contrast to our world, where there are more places in Norway named for the trolls than there are for Odin or Thor. And now, for those of you in the secret guild of adventurers, a bonus creature, the ogre. The creature is known for its rage and for its stupidity, and is a close relation in the legends of the trolls, often mistaken for giants and other creatures. The ogre is actually the myth that the mighty Grendel is based off of. A mindless, man-eating creature who ravaged towns and mead halls amongst the Saxons in the Ballad of Beowulf. Just another monster slain by another hero. Now, if you have enjoyed, I bid you announce your liking below by clicking the thumb, which is the age-old signal that one approves of what one has just seen. And if you have not already defeated the subscribe button, I suggest you engage it in battle, and you will know that you have won when it turns a deathly grey and all the blood is drained from its body, and conveniently located to its right is the victory bell, which if you ring, all will know of your victory over the subscribe button, and you, as a bonus and a prize for your fight, will always know when I upload a video. If you don't already follow me on Instagram, it's where I make most of my announcements. I usually post announcements there when I have made a video. I do all of my polls over on Instagram. Twitter, we play Twitter D&D, and it's a good place to have conversations with me. As I usually am very relaxed when I'm talking on Twitter. Twitter is a little bit more streamlined when it comes to conversations. If you don't follow me on TikTok, that is where this all began, and I am currently in the process of bringing out new content surrounding D&D, nerd stuff, and some more culture content. And yeah, I also stream over on Twitch for Punktown TV twice a week, and have fun over there. And if you don't already listen to my podcast, what the hell are you doing? Endless Epic, wherever you get your podcasts. It's a storytelling podcast. We are trying to reinvigorate the love of the people for storytelling, which you all already have it. I don't even know why I bother saying it that way. You all love storytelling. You just have to remember what it is and why it is you love storytelling. And that's what Endless Epic is all about. And if you want to read along with us, you can. We're reading the Fandom Tollbooth, and you can even suggest things over on Twitter, or if you are my patron, you can get my podcast a week early. And we will also be opening up a D&D server that will be for patrons only, and starting at 1 day a month, we're going to be doing a patron exclusive D&D game, which I also intend to turn into storytelling episodes here on YouTube. So, thank you so much for watching. Stay bloodthirsty, my friends, and remember, all hail.